Hello everybody, today we're going to be doing a book unhaul. So if I don't like a book, it's gone. So some of these books on this list I'm just going to be popping up right here because the second I don't want a book, I try and get rid of it so that I don't hoard. I have a problem with getting rid of books, if you couldn't tell. This is all still a mess. If I even remotely like a book, I tend not to get rid of it. I've been trying to change that, which has not been going very well. But I have gotten rid of quite a few. I think we have about 24 books, I think, that I am getting rid of. I was hoping it was gonna be more, but this is just gonna be a small unhaul. I'm also not gonna like rag on these books. I'm gonna try not to rag on these books. And some of them are duplicates, but let's get to the unhaul. First up are the books that I've already gotten rid of, and the first one was Punk 57. I really didn't like this. I made this like 2 or 3 chapters and this was not for me. I don't plan on ever picking up another book by this person. This is just not it. This is not it. I did not enjoy this bully romance. No, thank you. The next book that I've already unhauled is a Cuban Girl's Guide to Tea and Tomorrow. I got this from a book box and I was really excited to read it, and I think I read about 1 chapter and I really just didn't enjoy the writing style, mostly because the main character was really obnoxious. She's kind of like, I think the point of the book is basically that she's like this entitled character and she gets sent away to Europe or something like that, and she meets a guy and it's supposed to be like a cutesy young adult romance where she learns to grow up and stuff like that. But I couldn't. She was awful. She was just so insufferable to her parents, and I feel like that maybe when I read this, if I was like in my teens when I read this, I would be much more on like her side of things. I feel like that's what happens when you get older. You're kind of like, oh crap, that is so annoying. Like, there are other problems in the world than you being shipped off to London. Something like that. I honestly can't remember. It's been so long since I've read it. But yeah, I read the first couple chapters and she was just absolutely insufferable that I could not stand the idea of reading a whole book in her point of view. So that's why I got rid of that one. The next book that I got rid of is Monster Volume 1. As you can tell, I have all them right here. It was a duplicate copy. I got Monster Volume 1, read it, loved it, wanted the second volume, and you could not find it anywhere. I almost drove to South Carolina, 2 hours from here, to a Barnes & Noble to pick up Volume 2 because you cannot find it anywhere. My husband luckily came to the rescue and ordered me the entire set off of Amazon from a seller from like Oregon or Washington, something like that. So I got the whole set 1 through 9, I think. So I had an extra copy 1, so I just ended up getting rid of that first copy. The next book that I got rid of is also kind of in the same boat. It's called My Fine Fellow. I bought the book because I had read her previous book. Shoot, I don't remember what the first book was called. But I really, really enjoyed the first book. It's like a Pride and Prejudice Austen-esque kind of era thing going on. And I was really excited, bought the second one from a... what is it called? Bookish Signs, I think. I'll put them down below. But they did really cool edges, pink edges with like these little whisks, and they're really cute. And then I realized that it was coming in one of my book boxes. So I took the one I got in the book box and got rid of it because I'm trying to be good about not having 2 copies, especially when the cover's the same. Like, they weren't special editions, really, it was just the edges. The next 2 books that I got rid of were Daughter of the Pirate King and Daughter of the Siren Queen. I just really didn't enjoy these, which is funny because the second I got rid of them, I heard that apparently there's going to be a 3rd book now. I probably won't pick up the 3rd book now that I've gotten rid of the original 2. I just didn't enjoy it. I bought these when I was in like my water mermaid era and then just forgot to read them. So I ended up reading them like a month ago or 2 months ago, and these books weren't for me anymore. I just didn't find them very exciting. They definitely felt young, bordering to, in my opinion, on middle grade, and I personally don't really like middle grade. That's why I'm having an issue with I'm trying to read the Percy Jackson series and I'm just not enjoying it. Please do not hate me for that. I'm on book 4, I think, of the 5, something like that. And I'm still struggling. I'm still struggling. And I don't know if it's just because I just don't enjoy middle grade. I don't know. It's very odd. It's very odd because I like young adult. And this is supposed to be young adult, but for me it just read a little too young and I just found it kind of boring. The next book that I got rid of, and you can check out my review on it why I got rid of it, is Hide by Kirsten White. Yeah, I feel like everyone on the internet knows by now that that was not it. It was one of the first like adult horrors that I read. Not one of the first, but it was in there for one of my first adult horrors that I read. So I read it and I just read another horror that I didn't like. So I read this one and I'm like, maybe I just don't like horror. And then I saw everyone's comments about how awful it was. So I was like, okay, let's wait. Maybe I do like horror and it's just this book. But it was just not very entertaining. The atmosphere just wasn't enough. Like, it had some neat atmosphere, but she could have done a lot more with it. It just felt too short and it just needed more. And I didn't really like the creature in it. I'm much more scared of like things that could really happen, less of man-pig monsters. So I ended up getting rid of that. The next book that I got rid of is also one that you can read a review on or listen to my review on. It is Darling Girl. I have not liked a single Peter Pan. I don't like Peter Pan to begin with. So I thought this was gonna be good because Peter Pan is a villain in this book and I hated it. I hated it. Yeah, no, again, I have a review on this. You can go look at that if you want to know why I got rid of it. The next book is in the same boat, The Cartographers. This is actually the first video on my channel that blew up. It has like 400 views on it. But I was really proud of that review. It's a mess though. It is a ranting mess because it's a mess of a book. It's a mess of a book. It's confusing. Stuff was left open-ended. There's plot holes. Absolute just mess of a book, which is really sad because it has one of the most beautiful covers that I've ever seen. It was just not it for me. Not it. Again, go check out that review. Next 2 books that I got rid of, I'm a little sad about because I really, really wanted to like them, and they are graphic novels called Check Please, and there's 2 volumes. I got rid of both volumes because I read them. They just weren't for me. I semi-enjoyed the first one. So I literally had just read Heartstopper. Absolutely love that series. It is just stunning. And so I wanted another romance graphic novel. I was really enjoying that era. And so I saw Check Please is a hockey romance between hockey star and another guy. They're on the same team. And there wasn't enough romance in it for me. Like, the romance parts I loved, but it was more a story of friendship, and that's just not what I like wanted in the book. Like, I love heavy dose of friendship, but there has to be an overarching like romance, like dead center, and I just felt like it wasn't. It definitely felt like the friendship was what was more important in these, which if you like stories about friendship, about hockey, they're awesome books and the art is so good. It just wasn't for me. The next book that I got rid of was Act Your Age, Eve Brown, and the only reason I got rid of that book is because I bought the special edition from Illuma Crate. So I have the 3 books in hardcover. I had a soft cover, so I just got rid of the paperback. Next 2 books that I got rid of, I don't know if I'll ever pick up anything from this author again because I don't trust her, but it is All the Stars and Teeth and All the Tides of Fate. So the first one was an Crate edition that came in a box. I actually liked the first book. Again, it kind of felt similar to Daughter of the Pirate King, where it was watery, and apparently I'm not into that lately. But it was okay. Like, it was fun. I enjoyed the romance more, so that definitely makes me enjoy books more, is when I like the romance. And then the second book came along and ruined it. Like, it wasn't that bad. The second book was okay. I feel like not a lot happened in it, but then the ending ruined the book for me. Absolutely ruined it. So I don't want anything to do with that series again. Got rid of it literally the second I finished reading it because I was so pissed off. That was one of the worst endings to a duology I've ever read. It ruined the whole series. It was awful. It was awful. So I think her name, the author's name's like Adeline Grace. I think she's having a book coming out, and I don't think I'm gonna pick it up. I think I was really excited about it, and then I read the series and I'm like, I can't I just don't trust her. I have trust problems. I have trust issues. So that's just probably not gonna happen. The next book that I got rid of is called The Siren Queen. And I was really sad about not liking this one. I tend to love books about Hollywood and anything that has to do with movies and people trying to become part of Hollywood and stars. This one was just not it. This book was only like 200 pages, I think. I read 100 and I couldn't do it anymore. I tried to get through this book because it's like, when it's such a small book, it's like, okay, well, let me just finish it. But I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So this book is following our main character who basically wants to become a Hollywood star. But the problem is it's magical realism. And I tend to like magical realism. Not in this book. I was so confused about what was real and what wasn't. Like, I went into this book thinking a lot of it was like metaphors, and then it started becoming weirder and weirder, and I was like, wait, these are not metaphors? And it was just weird and uncomfortable to read, and it was not for me. Apparently, magical realism, I have a level, and if you go over that level in magical realism, I don't like the book anymore. And this book definitely hit it. Okay, so we're on to books that I still have that I'm going to be getting rid of soon, or at least I'm trying to. The first book that I'm getting rid of, which is really unfortunate, it was from an unplugged book box, and is Queen of the Tiles. I really wanted to enjoy this one. It's a thriller, young adult, which is normally, I enjoy those pretty well. And she is part of a Scrabble competition, and her best friend like died the previous year, so she's trying to like solve what she thinks is a murder, but you don't know if it's a murder or accidental or suicide. You don't know what it is. So it's just following her, but I was really bored reading this book, unfortunately. So I don't tend to keep books that are boring. I thought it was okay, and it started picking up at the end, but I'm trying to get rid of books that I know I didn't enjoy a ton, and I'm never gonna read them again. So this is one of them. The next book that I'm getting rid of is This Woven Kingdom by, I can never say her name right, so you see it, but she wrote the Shatter Me series, which I'm obsessed with. This is actually my LitJoy edition of it, and I just really don't like this edition. I have the Illumicrate really pretty edition already, and if I want like a normal edition, I'll get like the paperback that's not shiny. I really hate this, and on top of that, they did gold edges on top of the gold, and it's just, I just don't like it. I don't like this edition, which is sad because it's signed, which makes me really sad because, yeah. I do like the artwork, but I don't like, and then this is shiny, and I don't like that either. So it's like a disco ball of an edition of a book, so it's just not, it's not it for me. The next book that I'm getting rid of hurts my heart, but I was talking to my husband about it, and I'm like, I need to just get rid of it because it was a DNF, but it's pretty, and it's a Fairy Loot edition, and it's Fire with Fire, and this is the pretty Fairy Loot edition, and I really don't want to get rid of it, and it has yellow sprayed edges, but I really didn't like it. I really didn't like this. It's signed and everything. Oh, but I couldn't stand it. I tend not to like sister stories. There's very few sister stories that I end up liking. This was not one of them. I was so bored, and one of the sisters is really annoying, so I decided that I'm gonna get rid of it. The next book that I'm getting rid of is The Family Plot. I bought this, and then I realized I already had a copy. So this was an accidental purchase at Barnes & Noble when I was rampaging and buying everything. So this is just an extra copy. The next book that I'm getting rid of is just literally a book that I've had on my shelf forever, and I got it at the same time, or around the same time as Daughter of the Pirate King, and it was just that era of like these books being popular. I haven't read it. I'm not going to read it. I literally stared at it, and I'm just like, and it's like Sister Queens, and I'm just like, I'm not gonna read it, so I need to get it off my shelf. If I decide to end up picking it up, I'll just get it from my library. This is gonna be a funny one. This is gonna be a funny one. I've had this book for forever, and I found it at my parents' house, and I'm like, why do I still have this? But it is The 9 Lives of Chloe King. Do you guys remember this? Like, this was turned into a movie series or a TV series. One of my friends was obsessed with this, and I have literally had this for forever. And it needs to go. This one's probably gonna end up going to Goodwill, but this needs to go. And it's huge. It's taking up so much space. The next book that I'm getting rid of is probably oh my gosh, I can't even with this book. This is probably the worst book that I've ever read. I'm sorry. And I'm only saying that because I love her other books. It is The Betrothed by Kira Cass. I love the Selection series. Love the Selection series. This was probably the worst thing I've ever read. And this was like and it's even signed by her, and I have like an author note, which makes me really sad. But I can't. I literally look at this and get so angry that I just can't. I can't do it. But anyway, this is just not good. I'm getting rid of it because I can't stand the sight of it. This next book that I'm getting rid of also makes me really sad because I loved the first 2 books. So the first 2 books I read on like through the library, and then I was like, oh, the 3rd book's coming out. Let me actually go get the 3rd book, and then I'll go retroactively pick up the first 2 books. And it is When Villains Rise. Everything just wrapped up too easy. It lost a lot of the dark magic twisty stuff from the first one. So that was unfortunate, and that's why I'm getting rid of it, which is sad. The next book was one that I DNF'd, and it is The Magnolia Palace. I was trying to go out of my comfort zone in reading historical fiction, and I just really did not enjoy this one. And so as a DNF, I'm getting rid of it. Unfortunately, it was a hard pass. And the final book that we got to is one of my more disappointing reads, and it's The Unraveling of Cassidy Holmes. And I read this because I really wanted to feel something like what I felt for Daisy Jones and the Six. And this is very similar to it. It's following a pop star who basically went out of the light, and she died. And it's going back through her history and what happened to her and what led to like what's going on now. And I wanted it to be more impactful and more heartbreaking, and it just wasn't. And it was pretty long, and I feel like it just drug on and on and on. And I feel like the writer could have done a couple things different to really get that emotional impact of what stardom does to people and how they break down. And I wanted more from this book, more what I felt from Daisy Jones and the Six, and I just didn't, unfortunately. So this one, unfortunately, is going. That was my mini unhaul. Like I said, it was a lot of books that I just really didn't enjoy. I tend to hoard books that I like. I'm trying to fix that so that if I don't like love them, I'll get rid of them, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. But I hope you enjoyed this unhaul. I tried not to be too mean about certain ones, but you know, sometimes it just comes out. Stuff just comes out of my mouth sometimes. But yeah, so I feel a lot better. These books, now that I have it on camera, I have to get rid of them. I have to. And I really enjoyed filming it because it feels very cathartic to be like, these are leaving, and hopefully going to someone who will enjoy them more than I did. But that is my unhaul. Please like the video, subscribe, comment on what books, maybe if you like some of these books, what you thought, why you liked them, maybe why I didn't like them. And if you have any recommendations for like the reasons I didn't like these books, maybe if there's books out there that I would like based on why I didn't like these. So I would love to hear that. And that's all I've got for this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.